Welcome back to the Y Factor, listeners. We're currently in our spotlight segment of the show, and today's focus is on the Queensland floods.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to miss unless you live under a rock what's happening in Queensland. So I'm sure you're all aware that our neighbours up north in Queensland and also northern New South Wales have been inundated with floods over the past 2 weeks. Now, we mentioned the death toll, and that's actually risen to about 20 people, which was the last news update we received, and there's about 90 to 100 people missing. Unfortunately, Victoria has caught up just as Queensland's floods began to ease up a little bit, and more than 30% of Victoria right now is also flooded, which is astonishing.
Yeah, so for us as Muslims living in Sydney or all across Australia, we've been following it because, obviously we pitch in part of the greater Australian community. Everybody feels affected by what happened. So we've had various kinds of relief efforts happening. The massive cleanup operation in Queensland has began, and it's basically recovery time at the moment. So you have things like tennis stars teaming together. You had Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal and Kim Clijsters teamed up with our Australian tennis stars. They got together and they sort of did a match where they raised money for Queensland. There was a celebrity chef cook-off. There were people volunteering to shelter pets until the homes were back together. People, sharing their homes and taking people in to live with them until their homes were back and rebuilt. So Australia is really rallying together in a way that I personally don't think I've ever seen before, unless we think back to the Victorian bushfires.
Yeah, back in 2009. Yeah. But I agree, there is that great sense of Australian spirit and community where people go out of their way for no reason other than to help others when we are inflicted with such a disaster. And for today's Spotlight segment, we've spoken to various sectors of the Australian Muslim community to find out
what we've been doing to help, and in fact what we as Australian Muslims can still do to help, because as we mentioned, the relief campaign / effort is still really going on, and they need as much help as they possibly can. Our first guest today is Tanveer Uddin. 22-year-old Tanveer is the International Programs Officer for Muslim Aid Australia. Firstly, Assalamu alaikum Tanveer, and welcome to our program.
Alaikum assalam, thank you for having me.
So Tanveer, tell us a little bit about Muslim Aid Australia and what services you guys provide.
Muslim Aid Australia was started here 21 years ago. We're an international aid and relief and development agency, so we provide relief in terms of emergencies, natural disasters, civil strife, as well as providing aid programs like sanitation, education, or agriculture, right around the world. We work in probably the vast majority of the continents of the world, and we pride ourselves with that fact, yeah.
I believe you guys have set up a Queensland mass flood appeal, is that right? To support our fellow Australians in Queensland?
Yeah, that's right. So Muslim Aid Australia recently was able to have authorization to collect money for domestic projects as well as our international programs. So we're really excited about that. We helped last year at the Victoria bushfires, and this year we really partnered with the Premier's Relief Fund with the Department of Premier and Cabinet, and we're basically collecting money from the community from all around Australia to give to the Queensland Fund to help them rebuild their lives and their communities.
So Muslim Aid's sort of been there from the start. As you mentioned, the Black Saturday bushfires back in February 2009, where 173 Victorians lost their lives and 414 were injured. Muslim Aid played a pivotal role in sort of the charity involved then, right?
Yeah, we definitely, we raised the appeal straight away, and we were able to collect quite a lot of money from the community in Australia. And I guess where organisations such as Muslim Aid are beneficial is that we have those community linkages, and we basically bring together the donors and the community who want to help, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. They want to help, but they want to know what the best way to do that is, and we provide that intermediary for them to reach out to the people in need. And often giving that pooling the money together shows a lot of support from the community, especially the Muslim community, that they care about other people. And when you give a lump sum amount, it really shows in the media and in the community. Yeah.
So has there been a really big response from the community regarding
yeah, definitely.
Queensland?
We've been overwhelmed by the response. We launched the appeal last week, and so far we've collected a couple of $1,000s, I believe. so far from donors, and people are donating through bank deposits. People are calling up and making credit card donations. There's a number of ways they're doing it. So yeah, people are responding overwhelmingly very generously, and yeah, we hope to still collect more funds over the next couple of weeks.
Just to clarify, your money donations are actually tax-free with Muslim Aid, is that right?
That's right. So we've got authorization from the Queensland Department of Premier and Cabinet to collect money on behalf of that appeal, and we've been authorized. We are allowed to issue receipts from Muslim Aid. We basically have the authorization from the department to then give the tax deductible receipts. So they'll receive them, and it is all tax deductible. Anything more than $2. So any contribution, whether it's $2, $10, $20, $100, couple of thousand, everything is tax deductible.
It all helps.
It all helps, yeah.
So as an Australian young Muslim living in New South Wales, for example, how can they pitch in, let's say, if they're obviously via monetary means through donations, and you just told us about it, as simple as $2, but is there other initiatives that Muslim Aid is running where they can sort of pitch in and then lend a helping hand?
Yeah, definitely. So other than obviously giving financial contributions, and I mean, of course, that's really important and needed. So we'd encourage everyone to ask everyone in their family, their relatives, and anyone that can help to pitch in. Muslim Aid has a volunteering program where young people can sign up, and we give them an authorization, which is basically a badge and a certification that allows them to go collect money on our behalf. So I remember when I was in high school, I collected a lot of money for the tsunami appeal. Basically, I rocked up to Muslim Aid and I said to them, it's really terrible what's happening there, very much like Queensland, the floods at the moment. And I said to them that, I want to collect money for you guys. And they gave me the authorization, and I took tins and I went to a couple of businesses that I knew. I also went on door knocking and I collected money, and people were very generous. People have a lot of loose change in their homes, and they're happy to dump it out. And each family might have $5, $10 worth of loose change. And if you do that for an hour, you might raise a couple $100. So definitely door knock appeals, and we can organize that for you. So we'd encourage anyone out there who's interested to call us up, and we can arrange that very quickly. We'd also encourage young people to perhaps join together in groups, whether it be in schools, whether it be at the universities, whether it be in their own local communities, and hold a fundraiser, maybe a barbecue, maybe to do a small sort of sports activity and do a fundraiser. There's so many ways you can help out. And it's all about initiative. Again, back in high school, we did fundraisers through a seminar program we held at my school in Sydney Boys, and we raised a lot of money for Sudan, and we raised money for Iraq as well. So there's a lot of options available. Yeah.
So for those people wondering whether they can send in clothes and shoes and food, for example, I've been hearing that it's preferable to send cash at the moment. That's a bit more useful. Is that right, or do we still try and send clothes, or what exactly?
No, that's a good question. Yeah, that is correct. From the aid community, the preference is for financial contributions, just because the logistics of sending clothing and other non-food items raises the costs quite high, and there's a bit of logistical sort of practical problems in sort of collecting that and distributing it to the right places. So financial contributions are the best. Of course, the Queensland community themselves are pitching in with clothes and non-food items, so that's pretty much covered. But people in New South Wales can definitely contribute by giving their funds. But also, if people have specific skills, they can go and contribute, whether they be tradespeople, whether they can be volunteers in another capacity.
Plenty of opportunity out there. So how can a young person or anyone who wants to chip in, I guess, get in contact with Muslim Aid Australia?
Yeah, definitely. They can call our toll-free number between on Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is 1-800-100-786. That's 1-800-100-786. Or email us at mail@muslimaid.org.au, and we can arrange that for them very swiftly. But we're happy to support the community in what they do. So if people have come up with a really good idea for a fundraiser, whether it be a specific lecture program with a sheikh or a community member, or whether they want to have a sporting activity, we'll try to find ways to support them, whether it be a small sponsorship arrangement, or whether it be we can try to connect up and network with other people. We're happy to hear ideas, and I think it's the creativity of young people and the ingenuity that makes a difference often. Whether it be, I remember during another disaster in the past, a young boy decided to save all his money, and it went to a YouTube video and it became viral, and people donated lots of money. So people come up with ideas to really address challenging times. Yeah.
So lastly, Tanvir, there's an event that Muslim Aid is organising this Saturday. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. we're having a special program about natural disasters and emergencies, reflecting on 2010, which was a particularly devastating year in Haiti, in Pakistan, and of course in December with the Queensland floods. And looking ahead, we've got floods in Sri Lanka and Brazil at the moment as well. So reflecting upon that, we've got a couple of speakers. One speaker, Quran the States, can talk about some natural disasters in 2010. We've also got Sheikh Ep2 to talk about how Muslims have responded to disasters in the past, such as the Irish potato famine in the Ottoman Empire. And myself, I'll be speaking about my experiences in Indonesia, where I attended there for the twin disasters that happened. So we're just trying to create awareness about disasters, but also how people can really make a difference there. So I'd love to see people out there this Saturday, 22nd of January at LMA Youth Centre. 6:30 p.m.
Definitely, guys. It's for sure an event to be there for. So, lastly, I'd like to thank Tanvi for joining us today on the Y Factor and wish you all the best for your future endeavours.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to our second guest on the show, we've got Yusra, 20-year-old from University of Western Sydney. Now, Yusra, you got involved with Get Up to help out with the Queensland flood relief. Could you please tell me a little bit about what you were doing exactly?
Basically what we were doing is, well, first of all, they gave me a call because I'm a Get Up member, and they asked me to basically volunteer just for one day for an afternoon shift to basically take calls for the Ausfloods helpline for people who need accommodation, as well as a lot of Get Up members in Brisbane and Queensland were messaged out if they would like to provide temporary accommodation, and a lot of calls were basically people who would like to list their houses as temporary accommodation, and that's basically what we were doing.
So you were just basically hooking up people who are volunteering accommodation with people who actually needed accommodation.
Pretty much, and that was really important considering a lot of people don't have internet access. So a lot of the people who needed accommodation, we would basically go on the website, because everything's done online. It's just a matter of registering the details, what exactly they need, and for people who'd like to provide accommodation, what they're on offer.
And is Get Up still looking for volunteers to man the call centres?
They are. They're actually, if you'd like to volunteer, you can basically just check out their Get Up Facebook site, and also on the Get Up site, getup.com.au, and you can just register your details for to volunteer during any time you'd like, whether it's a weekend shift or afternoon or morning shift. So
that's getup.com or getup.org, sorry.
That is getup.org.au.
Yep, so getup.org.au, get on there and register if you want to volunteer.
Yep.
Okay, and Yusra, how did you feel being part of that call centre relief? Like, was morale very high there? Everyone is enthusiastic to help out? Were there not many people?
No, it was pretty great. Well, first of all, you meet like-minded people. People just want to basically give a hand. And the good thing about it was that, we're in Australia, we've got this own disaster, and it's about helping people in our own backyard. So I thought it was a great way to chip in, especially that it was in Sydney, because I couldn't exactly get to Brisbane to help with the cleanup. So, yep, just doing what I can.
Awesome. So, guys, if you're listening and you want to help out but you can't make your way down to Queensland, there's just one very easy way to do it right there. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Yusra.
No worries.
Did you want to give us an extra contact detail to contact Get Up?
Yeah. Basically, if anyone knows anybody in Queensland who would like to help with accommodation, or whoever needs accommodation, you can basically ring up the AusAID's flood line, and the number is 1300 498 603.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Yusra.
Thank you.